really weird one. Usually there's 2 or 3 and they'll show up and they'll stay an hour. If the Sasquatches are in camp, which this is the time sometimes they come. So we had somebody here just now. He was stopping, looking at him. That's why he finally stopped. I was hoping we could hear him talk. Sometimes the Sasquatches will talk to me. Oh. You know you've been squatching too much when you can predict that. It's always this time, too. Twilight. I've had that happen probably 150 times, and that was like the shortest one. I think whoever was here ran down the hill. I think they were messing in my truck for a second and then ran down the hill. No, because it wasn't you. It was something metally tinny over there. My truck. In fact, I thought somebody was getting in it. He didn't have a weird talking one though. These are just normal sounding crows. That's a good sign. When that starts happening in your camp, you're on to something. The only place that doesn't happen is southern Colorado. But up here it happens. After a while. But I've been coming up here forever. Got a crow that sounds crazy. It's like no crow I've ever heard. Sounds like he's sick almost. And I was hoping he'd do the little gerbil, the little talk thing the crows do. It's weird sounding. There's definitely Sasquatches here. We've got coyotes and crows in abundance. So they're Sasquatches are killed. Too cold for me outside yet. Probably 30, 40, I mean. I don't want to pack yet. Oh, what time is it? On your phone.
Well, my phone is dying. That's if I saw it. 7:44.
I'm gonna lay here till about 8:30, and then we can start getting ready or eat. Okay.
That's fine.
You can go for a hike if you want. You might actually see something this morning.
I got the video running. My camera.
Outside?
No, right now on the listening.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience that. That wasn't much, but
I cut the cruise on it.
good. It wasn't much, but now you know to look for it. That's always a good sign.
I wonder if it had something to do with the call in the morning.
You what?
The call, those calls I was doing.
Oh no, not in the dark. No.
Well, I got 2 responses.
Yeah, but not from crows.
No, not the.
No, they come when somebody's in our camp. They're watching what they're doing. Trust me on that. Somebody was here. I heard something. He was messing in that. Somebody was messing in the trash or with my truck. Because there was like a metally sounds. And he was watching it. That's what they do. If you could follow around, if you could be a crow and follow them around all day, you'd see Sasquatches all day long.
It's called drone.
Yeah, Sasquatch. Good idea. My word.
Yeah, but you can't fly drones in the park.
What we need is a tiny GoPro to put around his little neck.
That's right. Glued to the bottom of it.
You know what? That would solve this in one day. We put it on like 5 crows up here. We'd get great videos of that.
Probably. No, it's not that bad. Yeah. Kind of hazy.
Okay, where I'm stopping this right now for this video footage, it'll kick back on here in a second. I have to fill in the gaps. So right after I went outside, I went out and I walked down this trail, or down our entrance, and I set up my camera. And I went walking back to the car, popped open my trunk again, and left it open to the Honda Element. Mike was still sitting inside there. We were kind of talking about random things, and I walked over to the edge, and I was looking over the edge, and I was eating. I had 2 muffins in one hand and 1 little muffin in the other, and I was looking around, and I just so happened to look down, and I see this Sasquatch, and he's standing by a log where I'm at. I'm up here, and he's down here, and he's looking up at me, and I'm looking down at him, and I was like, what the hell? So I'm looking at this guy, and he said, are you hungry? Because he's doing this. That's all he's doing. He's looking up at me, doing this. And I said, are you hungry? Do you need food? And he goes from this, and he puts his hands down to his side. The back of his hand is black. The front of his hand is like my skin tone. His face is black, and all the hair on his head was draping off all the hair on his body. He had shaggy hair all the way down, like long tendrils of hair. It was crazy looking, really crazy. And he was just staring at me. And I said, do you want one of the muffins? And so I took the muffin and I peeled off, and I explained how to do this. I peeled off the muffin, or peeled the paper off the muffin, acted like I was gonna eat it, and I shook my head, don't do it. I said, I'm not, and it'll go down and it'll stop right here. It'll kill you. You'll be dead. Take this paper, and I walked to the trash and I threw it into the trash. And I said, this thing that you eat, you eat. And I said, I'll leave you this one for you. I walked over to a log and I put it down. That's why you're gonna see a muffin on a log, because I put that muffin down and I was demonstrating how to eat a muffin. And he just stood there. He stood there looking up at me. So at that moment, I went walking back to get my camera, which I had parked at the front of our entranceway, right? So as I'm walking by, I said, hey, Mike. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I just saw a Sasquatch. And he goes, where? And I said, he's at the very bottom of that hill. And if you remember in the video, Mike said, you know, there might be something at the bottom of it, you know, you might see something, and whatever it was went down that hill. Well, he was right, because there was something went over that edge and went down that slope. The slope does this number, and I was up here, he was down here. And I said, he's down there by that log as you go down that hill. And he's like, oh my God. So Mike's frantically getting dressed. I end and go over and grab my camera. Now, as I'm walking up to my camera, I didn't realize this at the time, but there's a disembodied voice that's captured on that video, on that section. If you haven't heard it, retrace it back and listen to that little clip. It's only like 30 seconds long. It's something really short, but you will hear this voice come in. And when I listened to it the first time, I was like, what the hell is that? Because there was nobody around me. As I was walking up, you can hear me walking towards the camera, and it starts talking before I get to the camera. And it says like, hey, you, get out of here. Ha, 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 ha. And that's the voice that I hear when I put the headphones on. That's what I can hear. So I get the camera, turn it off, walk back to the front. Now, I swore I have a longer video of that entrance because I was filming such a long time and I was looking for that other part of that video. That's a small clip of something larger, because that thing was recording for, I thought, a lot longer than what it was there for. But I went took the camera back across, disconnected it from the tripod, put it by the tent, and I walked on down. I said, I'm going to go and see if I can find him. He said, okay. And I went over the edge with the camera, and I looked over. The muffin was still there on the lot or the stump that I put it at. And I went down the hill. Now, I could see where he went. Now, the video that you're going to see now is me with that camera. I'm not using the Cyclops or anything. I just am using my 35 millimeter DSLR, and it's on video mode, and I'm walking through the trees as I'm coming, as I hit the bottom of the hill. I turn it on. Now, for whatever reason, I know he went to my right, but I am searching to my left and down, and it's thick. The thicker trees are to our right. The more open space is to my left, and I know he's in the right. So if I was being misdirected, then they did a good job, because I veered off and I didn't go the direction I thought he went. But I searched around there, and on the way back, my battery on my camera was dying. So I killed it, and I met up with Mike. And I'll get back to that story here in a second.
Brown and red colored dude standing down here. Oh, that's cool. Look at it here. This tree. That is not connected to the ground, but it is placed to a tree. It's a neat stick. Cool beams. I found a lot of little areas down here. A lot of fake man-made structures down here. But I also found a cool looking teepee that we don't think is man-made. It's buried back in a neat spot. I showed my very friend muffin, and I ate one in front of him. So hopefully he comes up after we leave and he eats it. Big Crow's visiting us earlier, or H.O. We went leave for a good, probably was like 10 minutes, checking out our campsite. And that could be anything, but common theory is crows like to come and visit and check things out for the Sasquatch when they come and visit us. There we found 2 springs, natural springs, found that aren't listed on any map that we found so far. Found all kinds of cool structures. Of course, I'll probably be showing you any of the structures. But it's nowhere near the areas that these structures are. In fact, they're all behind me. Let's see if I find something cool down here, which is a possibility.
Okay, so as I'm coming up the hill, Mike's coming down the hill, and we meet right where the log is located. And I tell him this is where we were, or this is where he was standing. And I pointed down, and we both saw where the grass was pushed down, where he was standing there. And he said, "Where were you?" And I pointed back up at the top of the hill. I said, "That's where I was standing." He goes, "Oh, dude!" And as we were so close to each other, I said, "I can tell you details on this guy's face. It's crazy. It was a male, no boobs, no nothing, nothing to worry about here. Clearly a guy." I said, I described the hand, I described the face. It looked like the hands were like the skin tone was like dark black, but on the palm side it was in dark black, and on the sides of the fingers in here where the black would be coming over, it looked like it had that splotchy effect, kind of like what Michael Jackson had, you know, where he had like the darker skin tone and it goes to white. It was really strange. The two colors were marrying, but you could see where in between each finger there was like splotchy effects going on. And it may have been that maybe he was black in color in the skin tone, but at some point he got white in color on the hands, and even the face and into the where the hair met up to the face, you could still see black into the skin tone going down his into his neckline, and then the hair took over. You couldn't see anything after that. But he had long hair coming off his body, like it was hanging off his arms and hanging off his legs, and you could tell this was not a female by any way, shape, or form. But he just stood there, you know, just staring at me while I was talking to him. But he goes, "You didn't see which way he went." I went, "No, I was pretty sure he went into the trees here, because that's common sense." And he said, "Right. But you went this way." I said, "I did go that way." And I've noticed that if they want to redirect you, you'll just naturally you'll go the other direction. Unless you figure out, wait a second, why am I going this way? And you know that he went this way, you turn around and you go back that direction. You go the direction that you're pretty sure they went. But for whatever reason, a lot of people will they veer off and they go the other direction. It's kind of like like I've mentioned before in other videos, it's like a weird buffer zone that they create, and they just misdirect you into a different location, which is intriguing. So there's one more part to the video, and one more interesting part to the video, I should say. And that's after Mike and I go back up to the camp and I swap out a battery for the camera, because my camera died when I was walking back up to Mike. So that evidence of showing the log and where this guy was standing and where I was standing up on top of the hill, I couldn't show that on film. And I wanted to. I was hoping I had that, and I didn't have that. So the next video clip is me setting the camera up and aiming it towards the little muffin that I put out there from the dash of my car. And you can hear Mike and I talking in the background, and it's some interesting stuff that we're talking about. But there is some evidence that we find later on, and it's on my car again. Now the back hatch was open and everything was going good, and I about had this video completed for today. But when I looked at the time frame that I had set, I was almost at 1 hour long, and I don't think too many people want to watch an hour-long video. So I went ahead and made the decision to kill it now. So there'll be one more video on Wednesday, and that'll be the end of this storyline, and there'll be a new storyline that kicks on Sunday. My name is Patrick. This is Sasquatch in the Wild, and I hope you're enjoying this journey. I'll see you then. Bye.